please note that it is being recorded. Public hearing, any reason for public hearing? And there's no old items that I'm aware of. The first item of business is opening the sealed bids for the Sheffield Waterline replacement project. Laura, did you want to describe what's for us today?
We are going to replace 800 linear feet of water line in Sheffield Township on 1st and Hall Streets. It's currently a cast iron a pipe that is breaking and leaking. I think it's about one of the last streets that they need to do in the township to bring them all up to snuff. We have 3 bids, and just for the interest sake, we have a $90,000 budget estimate on this that we have set aside.
This is CDBG money?
CDBG. Who are you opening? Mealy?
Yes. Mealy is the first one.
Excavating and construction. The total bid is $114,034. Did you want any more information from that?
No, that's sufficient, thank you.
Do you want to look at these at all?
Yeah.
I'm going to take them. So if you want to. I just
Pollard
should they cross their T's and dotted their I's.
Pollard Land Services.
Pollard Land Services is here.
Grand total $96,786.
Getting better.
And this one is from Smith.
We did the last project in Sheffield.
Page 2 of 2, where's page 1?
Put that away.
Okay. This was what again?
Smith.
Smith. Grand total of $73,358.
So I will take the bids. I'll make sure that they included all the information and that was required. And the apparent low bidder is Smith, but that will be determined to see if they all provided all the information requested. Everything goes in order. We'll have the commissioners awarded at 2 weeks. Commissioners
May
meeting
28th?
Something like that. That's the next one?
Yeah, the next meeting is the 28th.
Okay.
And the one after that would be the 14th.
Yeah, so if we get everything together, those snafus will award it on that date.
Okay.
May I be excused?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.
And for providing a bid. Let's see if Smith made any mistakes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good day.
You too.
All right, next on the agenda is the County Career Center Partnership Program Agreement, which Commissioner Eggleston is sponsoring.
Yeah, so this is just the current agreement. This has been circulated several times. The school district had some minor changes.
To which I got their signed agreement in the mail today.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Then we'll have that for the 28th as well.
Mm-hmm.
Their only changes were there was like a minor text change early on, and then they added a section, oddly, about the sunshine law at the end. And other than that, it was pretty much the same. So,
what's the agreement for?
So basically, this is for we're going to be working with the Career Center in order to fund projects done by the county and by municipalities that are related to Act 13 funds.
Okay.
So, like a township, for instance, wants a shed built or a benches or gazebo or something like that. They basically put an application in the same way they do with Act 13 funds, and then it's approved by this group or the it would come through Dan Glotz, but then it would be sent up to the Career Center, and basically their CAD team would do the design, and then their construction team would build the project, and all of the actual material would be funded through Act 13. So, and basically before we could do anything with them, we wanted they wanted like an agreement as to liability and everything related to the work. And this is similar to what they do with Habitat for Humanity with their construction projects there.
So this is for gazebos and park benches and that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
basically the project has to be able to fit on a flatbed. Like if it can be transported by a flatbed, like built at their facility and transported, then it's too big.
Got it.
And most of it will be, like they produced benches for the Rimrock bike trail. They produced a bench that's a BEI. They've done like gazebos and like signage and different stuff for different recreational areas. So this just kind of formalizes it with us, and then it also enables us to work with the municipalities to send do applications.
And we did pass this agreement through a meeting before, correct? The reason we're running it through this amendment?
No, it'll be on Wednesday.
It'll
Next.
be on
Oh, we
next
tabled
Wednesday.
it?
Yeah.
For some reason.
Well, no, we didn't have a finalized agreement from them.
It was removed from the agenda. It was on it, but we removed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we.
All right, so we'll be back on the agenda for all
Yep.
with that. Okay. Third item of business, unless there's anything else on that or public comment, that would be court funds agreement from you two.
Okay. So basically, this is a jury payment proposal. It's a proposal to use debit cards to pay the jurors. Currently, we pay cash on the day of jury selection. So when the people come in, they register with the court, and then they come over to another table and get their payment. And we've done that to reduce the amount of accounts payable checks that remain outstanding, because a lot of people won't cash the checks. So we went to cash. We've been back and forth. So
Yeah, because I thought that's what happened last year was that they went back to checks.
they did.
And now we're back to cash.
Now we're back to cash.
Okay.
So now what we've come to is there's a company, it's called Court Funds, and Court Funds currently works with our county prison to give the inmates that are being released a debit card with the balance of their commissary funds. So you can basically give them a card and you load the money on. So what we would do with as the people come in, it's going to be in the pamphlet. It gives them all the instructions, a customer service number, and basically we link the card to the juror, and then later in the week, and they'll be instructed to this, that the money will be loaded, say, by Thursday or Friday that week. So they basically have a debit card of anywhere between $9 and $20, let's call it, roughly. So, and what Court Fund says is 95% of the cards are used within 30 days. And then 99% of the cards are used overall. What happens is if they don't use it after 120 days, there's a maintenance fee that starts to get charged, and it eats up their balance until they're gone. So there's no residuals left over like our outstanding checks. So the cost is 49 cents per card. All right, now if you think about a check cost us, the postage on a check cost us 47 cents, plus the envelope and the check is another 10, so it's 57 cents. Not a huge savings. Now we do 5 court selections in a year, totals about 900 people.
Yeah, so you're saying rather than send anything out the day they're here, they get a debit card and that's it?
They're done. Now, in the event of the people that are selected to serve on a jury, we would basically, because it's not a lot, we would just then give them another card, because in the event they would lose it, we couldn't reload it, that kind of, or if we did reload it, they didn't have it, kind of thing. So, so with 900 people over the year, the main negative we have is the outstanding checks that we have to chase down. We have to go through the process, and if they haven't done, once they've aged out, then I have to escheat those to the state. So for a $9 to $20 check, it's a lot of work. It's really not worth it. So this is a pretty well-run system from what we can gather from the way the people have developed it. So we would just like to. There's a 9-page agreement. And this is a card program agreement. It's used via a MasterCard, which is basically very universal to use. They have very good customer service if the people call in with any questions or any balances and things like that. So this is an agreement that can be stopped by us at any time with no penalty. It's not a contract. It's just an agreement. And it designates who the basically prime contacts would be. And Linda and I spoke with Paul Pascuzzi this morning, and we tentatively identified the individuals. The executive contact would be the fiscal director, Linda would be the administrative contact, Angela would be the primary contact for day-to-day operations, and then Paul suggested that we do not designate Stephanie as the backup to that position because of separation of duties. So there is a tentative, and it's you guys can help us identify if you want, like, I don't know, Kim to be that person, who would be that other person as backup to Angela. And basically what will happen is we go to selection, they're given their pamphlets, we identify what card they got. There's two different options we can do. If we had a PC up there with a card reader, you can basically, through the pamphlet, you can read the barcode on the card and then say, okay, that's juror number 1, there's juror number 2, and then you hand them off and they go. The other way is we would basically take the list back and have to like link up who's got which card. So there's two different options. They said most people do the scanning of the card. So I think it's a more efficient way to go, and it relieves us of trying to, divvy out the cash the way we do that. Obviously, I mean, my second choice, if we don't do this, would be to give out cash, mainly to reduce the checks.
Because you're going out, you have to keep track of them in perpetuity. Yeah, and there's just a long laundry list of one-time vendors. This will help reduce the one-time vendors. Now, in addition to this, as our discussion went on this morning, we could utilize this, if we think about it, to pay the election people. So they get like a $50 or $100 or $50 check. So there would be another opportunity to use this, and we would just give them.
Even allow that?
Pardon me?
Does it have to be court-reviewed?
No.
I mean, we're just paying for the service. I mean, so.
Yeah, you're basically for the card. Basically what we're doing is 49 cents is a loading fee. And that's all. That's the only cost to us is for each card we load. Mm-hmm. They provide the cards with in the pamphlets. They're sealed.
So they're free until you load the card?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But then we have staff's time involved.
Yeah. But I think the bigger savings is going to come when we don't have to track down the outstanding checks.
Okay. Well, I'm not in favor of checks anyway. I prefer the cash. I think, why not just go to cash instead of going this route where it's going to cost us, cash costs us nothing. I mean, what would be the advantage of doing this over cash?
Just that you're not, you just hand out the card and you're done.
Yeah, but you hand out cash and you're done.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'd prefer to just stick with cash myself.
Well, our fiscal directors never really like the cash because of the handling of the cash and the transition.
Right.
And I think that it takes the time to pull in cash, give it out, and
Because what we have to do, basically.
they have to reconcile the amounts.
Yeah. So Linda gives us a list, provides a list. And we go down through there and say, okay, there's $9, so I need 5 and 4 ones. And so you go down and say, how many 5s, how many 10s, how many 1s? So then because when you go to the bank, you're going to get, let's say, $3,000 to $3,500. And you're going to go to the bank and ask for this amount of cash, okay? And then when you get there, you're obviously going to go with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 2, 5, 10, or a 10. So then anybody that doesn't show up, or they get excused prior to this, then we'll have a leftover amount then comes to my office, and we reconcile who got cash, what do we have left, and then we take basically the leftover cash and take it back and deposit it. So it's...
And the other aspect to that, too, is we can use these for the jury trials also. In addition just to jury selection. I've got a cold, so bear with me. And so we have to write checks for those, and that's what we've done in the past. Didn't we do that just
Yeah.
with the trial?
So whenever the people that serve
So
on
we're
a
still
jury,
writing checks. This way we can do an Excel sheet, upload the Excel sheet, and it copies into the,
program.
yeah. And it uploads right into the cards, so that's so much simpler.
2 questions. First of all, are there any one-time costs just getting a chip reader or getting a computer up there?
Well,
You
I
could probably use that.
if we were going to do something in that order, we could maybe see what we have available to do that
Yeah, I'm sure we have a...
for 5 times a year.
Yeah, right.
Like for,
We could get a laptop or something.
Well, we already have a laptop.
Yeah, so we should be fine. And then second of all, do you think it'll save about 20 hours or more of staff time
It's
in a given year?
Yeah, because of the time that we're going to have, because basically what I've got to go do now, because they all read one-time vendors, so in my office where I have to go in, we're going to have to find who's the person,
Right.
name and address, and then turn around and look them up
Mm-hmm.
on a system to see, are they there, did they move, and then we got to try to track them down, send them letters to confirm, and then there's a process we have to go through.
All of that sounds like there's going to be enough time savings and such to justify $450 or whatever it ends up being.
So, I mean, do we have a literal cost estimate, the 45 cents a card, like overall
Over $500.
450.
Yeah, 450
for the year?
for 900 people roughly, and 900 is the max.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sounds like a cost savings.
Well, I guess there'd be a little bit more for the people.
Question from the crowd.
If I were to receive one of those cards, is there a fee for me to try to get the cash off of it?
No.
Unless you
Right.
use it at an ATM.
Yeah,
Basically, what happens, the cost gets passed on to the store because they pay
Well,
like
I mean,
Visa.
if I
whatever that
just want
costs.
cash, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to use it at Walmart or have to use it somewhere.
Right.
Can I just go to an ATM?
If you use it,
A lot of times they charge you.
Yeah,
X amount.
I asked them that question because of their fee structure, and if you go to an ATM, there is a charge, but they give instructions on how to pull the money off and not have to.
Not have to pay.
Yeah.
How would you do that at a bank? I mean, how would you do that? I mean,
It-
did you read that in your brochure? What did it say?
I'm trying to think. I don't have the brochure.
Cash, it's an ATM, and then there's a PIN number that they assign to it.
Okay,
You
so
get the
if
money
you
out.
have a bank, then you probably wouldn't be charged the service fee of the ATM.
Right.
But if you don't have a bank, then you're gonna realize the service charge.
Well, even if you had a bank, I mean, they may charge an ATM fee, like the bank
Sometimes.
itself would,
Yeah.
like because the
It's not on there.
cards are non-denominational,
So
so.
if you're only getting $9 and your bank charges you $2.50 or $3.50,
But there's ways, there's instructions on how they can get the money without a fee. And they actually said they could provide a video that could be shown during jury orientation. But they also have a pamphlet that pretty much lays it all out for them. So it's,
Most of them are going to go to get groceries with it.
well, I understand like cash might be a hassle, but it's,
Well, the other thing we do with cash too is we always add it up to the nearest dollar.
round it
So
up.
we're actually paying a little bit more. I mean, the county can always choose to pay them more for their mileage if they choose. Forest County does that. We pay them actually what is it, 55 cents right now. But we only pay them 17 cents a mile. So, but we add it up. So actually, it'll probably be a little bit of a savings if we do it based on their actual mileage, because we can't give out $10.93, whenever we're handing out the cash, so you're going to give them $11 or whatever. So you're actually going to give them what they're owed in the
Card.
card.
Sounds like an insignificant amount for the return, so I'm fine with it.
I guess I would suggest that it's up to you if you want to proceed, but if we do want to proceed, that we would have the solicitor review the agreement.
when you're reviewing this and online, I don't know if it was online or sometimes you'll hear from other people like the advantages of this or the disadvantages of that. Do you see any disadvantages other than the cost and maybe the time uploading the spreadsheet? I mean,
I don't.
what could go wrong? Like, what do you anticipate might go wrong?
People lose the card.
Okay.
Even if they do, we gave it to them.
Right.
You have a receipt. I mean, that's.
There's a customer service number. If they lose their card, they can call in and they can get another reissue.
Is it on the back of the card?
It's in their pamphlet.
I was picking up my dry clean the other day, and there was a guy walking out front. There was a $10 bill sitting on the sidewalk. Like, what if that was $10 that somebody got here? You know,
There is now, and basically we don't field calls. If they would call us, we basically just refer them to the customer service number. So in the event somebody would lose their card and their pamphlet, we could just say, here's the customer service number that you call. And they have they promote that their customer service is 24/7, and they do a lot of other things. This company basically was an individual that was a high school referee for basketball games, and he had a hard time when he got paid later on knowing which game does this go to and trying to match them up. So this individual created this system, and they basically currently pay the NCAA referees are paid through this type of a system.
He's probably not roughing anymore, I bet.
Probably not.
Have you had any issues with the jail using this?
I have not heard anything with it.
I don't know if there's going to be issues.
Well, it could be a pilot program, and it can always be expanded if it seems like it's working very well for something else.
So
Why don't you just give it to Pam, and Pam will get it to the solicitor.
okay. I didn't fill anything out because I didn't want to assume who the contacts were going to be. So
I think your suggestions are fine, and Kim would be a fine backup. Or if you wanted a separation of duty and having the revenue side, Gabby be that person, that'd be fine too. Besides, at that point, if she had any questions, someone in your office would be able to contact her.
Do any of you commissioners want a copy of that contract? We can email it to you.
Yeah.
So Pam will take it and send it to the solicitor, and then once he's comfortable with it, he'll send it to
Now
us.
the next jury selection is April 2nd and 3rd, and that's plenty of, if we do proceed with this, it's plenty of time for us to get it implemented. It doesn't take that long once the agreement's done. So if for whatever reason we weren't ready by then, we can always go to cash.
Yeah, I can see it.
I mean, my preference would be that, second cash, and then hopefully not go back to checks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment? Quarterly objectives or projects that anyone wants to bring up? Sorry, Phil, did you have something? Okay. Any unusual things in your schedule this week?
I won't be here tomorrow. I'm going to Venezuela. I have a few things on our calendar. I have to travel out of town.
I thought we got most of that.
The only one I got is one interview.
I rescheduled
Oh, you rescheduled the
for
interview?
the endowment fund
Okay.
and the Beacon Light.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to reschedule that to next month.
Isn't there an interview?
There is an interview late in the afternoon.
Oh, how late?
2 p.m.
I might make it back. I'm staying till probably 1:30. So I'll try to make it as quickly as I can.
I forgot. We're having reporting issues between the workforce development system and the state to the point where the state contacted me and asked me to look into it due to my background. So I'm going to go down to work on either Thursday or Friday for the entire day at the Workforce Development Partners for Performance system, digging into their data and doing some econometric modeling to figure out why their system isn't reporting correctly to the state. So I'll be out one of those 2 days all day, unless I go down there and it only takes a couple hours, but I doubt it. Any department or committee updates? I know we have a meeting this afternoon for department heads. That's here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had one thing that I had submitted. We had submitted from the security committee. It was on the kiosk and the items that were on the minutes that they requested that we put into one of your meetings. And we got the email back from you, Jeff, that you're working on it, a refurbishment project.
Mhm.
It's on the agenda.
Mhm.
When are those meetings?
Well, I mean, generally we would talk about it here. I don't have an update this week because they're still doing their evaluation. So basically the architect and our maintenance director are working on a feasibility study for a refurbishment. Part of that's going to involve internal signage and stuff with parking and some other things.
And I think that Chief Deputy Fetzik had on there about the door out here, and that's being worked with that.
I think that's also something that Bill's working on as well, Bill Gallagher. He's aware of the situation with the door.
I think those parts have been ordered.
Yeah, Bill's more involved with the door, I think, than the study is.
Yeah, they wanted to put those on the agenda.
Yeah.
The kiosk, I got some information on a brake line today.
Right, so the TV that's out by single point of entry, the idea would be with that screen to have, think of it as like a continuous PowerPoint, so to speak, listing offices and maybe a map of the courthouse and where to go, any special announcements, warnings, that sort of thing, court schedules, whatever information we want put on there. When I went down to Beaver County, they had those screens throughout the entire place, and it would, for instance, list the schedule, the court schedule, office hours for various departments, etc., and just kind of scroll through those things. So we applied, I think it was our first year, for a grant in order to get that sign. It's finally installed. We've got the Bright sign is the software that runs the thing, and we've assigned Kim Exley to be the person that really kind of understands how to do it, so we can kind of funnel information and go on it through her. We figured that you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but obviously some of the most helpful information for people when they're coming in this place is related to the courts. So.
Well, Bill had sent us a tutorial, sent me a tutorial on it. I think, okay, what's the plan for this?
Yeah, sorry that didn't get relayed. The idea would be that Kim would be the single point of the primary point of contact, but we figured that both you and Pam should be aware of what it is and how it works, so that you can figure out how you want to get content to it.
Sounds good.
All right, anything else?
Any word on the salary for that?
Yes, I got it back. I got the initial draft on like Thursday or something. I have not looked at it yet, but well, I take that back. I skimmed it and almost choked. But
That was fast, though. I got that back pretty quick.
relatively, yeah. We gave her like an early March deadline, and so it came in a couple of weeks short of that. So yeah.
So what do we do with it?
Well, I need to circulate it once the final version gets done. I'll just circulate it amongst the elected officials that are relevant. So at least the judge, the commissioners, and the treasurer. I don't think there are any other non-union positions. What's that?
Well, that's under the commissioners.
Under what?
I thought you said treasurer, that's okay.
He is, but the treasurer is specifically noted in the county code as being on salary board.
I got you.
So it's always us four, and then if there's a new position under another department or a salary increase, then the elected official for that department weighs in. I'm certainly
Well, the
happy.
department head, yeah.
Yes, possibly. It's hard. I think that's open to interpretation. But,
My understand. Well, yeah, I'll go on. Whatever.
well, I mean, it's whatever the board wants, they can.
Yeah.
We want to give that power to our employees. We can. But for instance, you wouldn't want, I don't know, one of your department heads and the judge to be both voting on something. But I believe the judge can appoint somebody to go vote in her stead. So if, for instance, she wanted to send a department head with her vote, then as a proxy, then that is, or send you with it,
Yeah.
she could do that. Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? The only thing I was going to note also is that I'm running over to public safety in order to get a demo on a new radio system, so I may be a few minutes late to the interview. Hopefully not. Thank you.